Yes, welcome to Cyber Safety Net Stay Safe Online, episode 135. What gets stolen in a ransomware attack? My name is Mark Anthony Germanos, and I will be the presenter today. Today, I'm talking about a ransomware attack that happened to Heritage Provider Network, which is a large healthcare provider in Southern California. Since they're in the healthcare biz, we have a pretty good idea what data or electronic protected healthcare information they're holding, and we'll get to that in a minute. Today's presentation is sponsored by my fourth book, How Hacks Happen. In How Hacks Happen, there are two personas. There's me, Mark, the good guy who wants to protect you. And there's Brad Cracker, the bad guy who wants to rip you off. Brad Cracker says, I'm good at hacking, hacking is easy, and I like the easy money. And since we're talking about ransomware, Brad says ransomware is one of his tools to put food on the table. Back in episode 102, I introduced the CIA Triad, or the Confidentiality, Integrity, Availability Triad. Since I'm talking about ransomware and electronic protected health information that you thought was confidential but is now in the wrong hands, I think we're in the confidentiality domain today. People are holding secrets, but they're no longer secret. Heritage is in the healthcare biz, and here is the data that somebody stole. And I'm going to read this list verbatim for those who have audio only. Heritage Provider Network reported that they were holding the patient name, phone number, date of birth, lab test results, health plan member number, sometimes known as the MRN or medical record number, social security number, address, medical diagnosis and treatment, and prescription history on the network, and that was compromised. It really happened, and it's almost a worst case scenario, wouldn't you say? People are trusting their doctors and their hospitals to keep medical information secret, and it's no longer secret. Usually when I talk about ransomware, I talk about a big prompt on the screen, like what's on the right side of the slide, telling you to pay a ransom, and the longer you wait, the more expensive the ransom becomes. But today, there are two elements. There's number one, the data that Heritage was holding on their network, which was on the previous slide. This data was harvested, and after the ransomware publishers determined what data they were able to harvest, then they determine a ransom. And they put a big message on the screen saying, you have to pay a ransom. The longer you wait, the more expensive the ransom becomes. Worst case scenario, I'd say. Armed with this information about ransomware, what will you do? Yes, I'm almost done. And life is not a spectator sport. What will you do with this information? Well, let me guess. You have three options. Number one, you'll prepare for ransomware, and you'll see my episode 129. Because some of my peers believe that it's not an if question, but it's a when question. When ransomware gets on your computers and your network. It's a when question. Number two, you may do nothing because you feel that you're under the radar. Maybe you don't go online often enough. Maybe you think your people are smart and they don't click links they shouldn't click. Or maybe you think even if somebody were able to see your data, they don't think they can get enough money from you to justify putting ransomware on your computers. Or number three, you'll do nothing because you got other things to think about. You will ignore my message here. Prepare for ransomware because it's inevitable. Ignore this message because you're under the radar, or you'll stop thinking about it because you got other things to think about. I know your time is valuable. I know there are other things you could have been doing, but you chose to listen to me, Mark Anthony Germanos, tell you that you have to prepare for ransomware because not only do you have to pay a ransom, or rather, not only is somebody asking you to pay a ransom, but your data that you thought you were keeping secure is no longer secure. It's been compromised. Thank you for watching.